Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining the Garcia versus Easton Media Conference Call. Your host for today, Richard Schaefer, the President and CEO of Ring Star Sports. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, and thank you to all the media members and the fighters to be available today on this call. I'm really happy to talk a little bit about this upcoming fight. Clearly, the fight of the summer. Probably going to be, because styles do make fights, fight of the year candidate. It's one of those can't miss fights. And whenever you have champion versus champion, undefeated versus undefeated on the line, you know that the fight fans are in for a special treat. Mikey Garcia versus Robert Easter for the unified lightweight championship of the world. Two fighters in their prime, challenging themselves for greatness. Premier Boxing Champions presents with this fight a truly premier event from the premier venue in the United States, the Staples Center, Saturday, July 28th. It seems whenever you have a fight at the Staples Center, they always exceed, not only live up, but exceed their expectations. The Staples Center is the kind of venue with the way it's built and the way the crowds are embracing their fighters there in the center ring. It always brings out the best of the athletes performing at the Staples Center. It's a 15-fight card, and yes, you heard right, 15 fights are on the card. I don't really remember ever having promoted a card with that many fights. And the good news is it's not just like a pile-up of fights. It really is a great card, top to bottom. As part of the triple header on Showtime, we are going to have one of the best heavyweights, Luis King Kong Ortiz, on the card, and we have one of the most exciting young junior welterweights, Mario Barrios. He's undefeated with 21 wins, 13 KOs from San Antonio. We will have him on the card as well. And then, of course, a fighter, Fabian Maidana, Marcos Maidana's brother, who is quickly making a name for himself. He's 15-0 now with 11 KOs, so make sure you keep an eye on him as well. And then the most talked about elite prospect from the U.S., from the Olympics, Rio Olympics in 2016, Carlos Balderas, will be returning to the Staples Center as well. He's 5-0 now. Tickets for this boxing extravaganza, and that's what it really is starting at $50. We do anticipate a huge crowd at Staples Center. We saw that with the last fight we did there with Morris and Santa Cruz. A huge lines formed the day of the fight, people buying tickets last minute. So if you do intend to go, I would suggest that fans do go and buy their tickets now. I want to thank the man who made it all possible, who is passionate about the sport, passionate about the fighters he advises and manages, and that is, of course, Al Heyman. I'd like to thank the entire Heyman team. It's always a pleasure to work with them. And then, of course, I like to thank our co-promoter, the president and CEO of TGB Promotions, Tom Brown. Great to do another event with him here and with his team in Los Angeles. I believe Tom is on the call, and I'd like to turn it over to Tom to make a few comments. Tom?
I actually don't believe he's on, Richard. I think you can move over to Kevin and...
All right.
Oh, no, sorry, Steven.
Okay, great. Okay, anyway, great to work with Tom Brown. Now, for those who can't make it to Staples Center, of course, the fight will be shown live on the #1 boxing destination, and that is Showtime. Showtime clearly has no one out there who comes even close. Their continued commitment to the sport, with the best fighting the best, champion versus champion. In this case here, a unification fight, a stacked card, and the man who makes that possible is a good friend of mine, and he is first and foremost a boxing fan himself, and he is, of course, as well the president of Showtime, Steven Espinosa. Steven?
Thanks very much, Richard. Appreciate that introduction. This fight, which we are all very excited about, champion versus champion, will be the third world title unification fight on Showtime just this year. As many media members know, we've spent the last 2 or 3 years trying to ramp up and position things so that 2018 and maybe 19 will be periods in which we will see these kinds of unification. So we've done all the work. The fighters have done the hardest part, and I'd like to recognize both Mikey and Robert Easter for taking this fight and taking this fight with no delay. There is a long history of exciting lightweight unification fights on Showtime. In fact, the last lightweight unification fight on Showtime was, of course, Corrales versus Castillo, 2005. So those are big shoes to fill, but I think there's a tremendous matchup with two very skilled fighters. Both Garcia and Easter are coming off victories in world title fights on Showtime. Mikey defeating Sergey Lipinets for the 140 title, and Easter making the third defense of his title versus Javier Fortuna. Mikey Garcia, of course, since coming back from his layoff, has quickly risen to a top 5 pound-for-pound consensus fighter. In 4 fights on Showtime since returning, he's won world titles in 2 different divisions. The one thing that speaks well about Mikey, among many things, is that he seeks out the biggest and toughest fights. We've seen that over and over again. And in this particular case, no one's rushing to fight Robert Easter. He's a tall, athletic, skilled fighter, and no one really is anxious to fight him other than Mikey, who didn't hesitate at all. This is Mikey's first fight in Southern California in 7 years. Last time he fought here was 2011. I know that's something, having discussed it with Mikey, that was important to him, and he's going to put on a good show for the crowd. Robert Easter is, in fact, the longest current reigning champ at 135 pounds. He won his title in 2016. He has rare physical gifts, 5'11", 76-inch reach advantage that gives him a big height and reach advantage over Mikey, and part of what makes this an intriguing matchup. You add in Luis Ortiz and 2 really interesting young super lightweights in Mario Barrios and Jose Roman, and we've got a really exciting triple header on Showtime. Richard?
Thank you very much, Stephen. It's a pleasure now for me to introduce to you Team Easter, Robert Easter. Robert has been waiting for a moment like this. A world champion, undefeated, and a big-time fighter. A champion like Robert Easter, they like to challenge themselves against the best. And when the fight was offered to him against Mikey Garcia, he didn't hesitate a second. He said, "Where do I sign?" In fact, he's been looking for this fight because he knows in order to become the best and the biggest, you need to fight the best and the biggest. He's an undefeated, a huge crowd attraction in Toledo, Ohio. With Kevin Cunningham, he has a world-class trainer in his corner. I'd like to acknowledge Kevin as well as Robert's father, Mr. Robert Easter Sr. Kevin certainly knows, how to train, and he knows how to get the best out of world champions. He's a very smart trainer, and he knows how to come up with the right game plans to win fights. And as it relates to Robert Easter, when he lands next week here in Los Angeles, let there be no doubt about it. He's not coming here to deliver a belt. He's coming here to pick up another one. And it's a pleasure for me now to introduce to you the undefeated lightweight world champion, Robert Easter Jr. Robert?
Hey, thank you, Mr. Shaver.
Do you like to make some comments as it relates to your camp, how you feel, how excited you are, and then after your comments, we're going to open it up to the media so they can ask you some questions.
Okay. Camp has been going good. We had a long camp, 9+ weeks, and just staying focused and staying sharp. And as everybody know, I've been waiting for this fight in this moment for a long time. I believe this fight is what boxing deserves. Champion versus champion. I'm no stranger of tough fight. That's is going to define my career, and make the best up out of me, fighting other best good fighters. And this fight with Mikey Garcia is one big task that I've been waiting on for so long, and it's finally here. July 28th, and we'll see one of the best rivalries you've ever seen. I'm bringing plenty of skills, thanks to my coach, Robert Easter Sr., and Coach Kevin Cunningham. It's helping me a lot and tremendously, making these adjustments and changes in my game, and everything is coming out perfect. July 28th, you will see me with 2 belts.
Thank you, Robert. We are going to open it up now to the media so they can ask some questions of Kevin or Robert, both. Kevin is on the phone as well, so any questions for Kevin, media, or to Robert, please ask.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions at this time, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad. Again, if you have any questions at this time, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad. I'm waiting for callers to join the queue at this present time. Well, our first question is going to come from Carlos Toro from Fightful. Please go ahead.
First of all, Robert, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today. First of all, you've had your battles against the likes of Javier Fortuna and Richard Comey, but would you call this fight against Mikey Garcia by far the biggest of your career, given the stakes involved?
Excuse me, I can't hear your phone cracking.
Basically, I wanted to ask if, given your fights against Javier Fortuna and Richard Comey, would you call this fight against Mikey by far the biggest of your career, given the stakes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. I look at every fight like it's big, Of course, with this one being another champion, it is big. So we train hard for every fight, and we look at every opponent, the same. We don't just favor just one opponent. Every fight is big for me. Every fight that I step in there, I step in the ring with my life on the line,
Mikey's been called a top 10 pound-for-pound guy by many in the boxing community, and Kevin, if you're there and you can also answer this, my question is, what advantage do you feel that you have over Mikey that will enable you to be now? I know you have the big height difference that could play a factor into this fight.
Was that question
Hello?
for Kevin or Robert?
It could be for both, if Kevin can also chime in.
I thought it was for Kevin. Repeat the question again.
Go ahead, Robert.
Repeat the question again.
Yeah. And the question is, what advantages do you feel you have over Mikey that will enable you to beat him on July 28th?
Hello. Of course, my height. My speed, and my power. My ability to box and just keep him away. And in order to think, outthink him. That's my advantage.
Hello?
All right, we're going to go to the next question. Operator, please.
Our next question is going to come from Keith Eidick from theboxingscene.com. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, my question's for Robert. Robert, how do you feel that you fought in your fight against Javier Fortuna? What did you like about your performance, and what did you dislike about it?
We hear you, Kevin. We hear you, Kevin. Let Keith get his question in, and then we'll let you come in. Okay, Kevin.
No, I wasn't hearing anybody. That's why I was saying that.
Gotcha. Okay.
I believe I fought this fight and made a temper on myself. Instead of using my reach and my ability to box, I sort of fought his fight and smothered my punches. But you know, that's one fight we moved on from, we learned from, as well as every fight.
Was that the fight that really convinced you to go with Kevin after what happened in that fight?
No. What convinced me to go to Kevin is, you know, to just switch it up, make things less comfortable for me. I was too comfortable, you know, having things my way, doing things my way, and just around too many distractions.
Thank you, Robert. Kevin, also, can you assess how Robert fought against Javier Fortuna, what you thought about his performance in that fight?
Well, I mean, I thought after watching the fight, I thought the fight could have been a lot more easier for Robert if he'd used his natural gifts in terms of the height and reach and control and range and distance. And like he explained, I mean, he knows the mistakes that he would make, that he was making in the fight. You know, he was getting, you know, not using his range properly, not controlling distance, and kind of, you know, smothering his punches, not being fighting in a little too close, and giving up his height and, you know, things of that nature. So he kind of, you know, he probably understands what he needs to do, the adjustments that he needs to make. You know, I've implemented some things, and he's got the ability and the skill to pick it up, and you know, he's really looking sharp, and I just think that you know, he's really going to put on a show come July the 28th.
Thank you, guys.
Our next question is going to come from Reggie Woodson from Round by Round Boxing. Please go ahead.
Hey, thanks for taking my call, and just want to say hello to everybody. Thanks for your time, Robert. I have a question for you as well as one for Kevin, if we have time. Robert, I was wondering, I know how you guys travel as far as you and Adrian Broner, and even your relationship with Gervonta Davis and everything. So I was just wondering if perhaps on the night of April 21st, when both of those fighters had their debut bouts with Kevin in their corner, was there anything specifically that you saw in those performances for both of those guys that convinced you that maybe Cunningham was the move for you for this type of fight?
I've seen the focus and the shape those guys were in. Plus, you know, every step of the way, I was calling Adrian. I was on the phone with him, you know, throughout the camp, and I was seeing videos, and he was telling me, you know, things they were doing. So, and I'm pretty familiar with Coach Cunningham anyway, you know, growing up with these guys, seeing him in the amateurs and, of course, in the pros. So, and plus he's from the Midwest, so it was like family. So he welcomed me in with open arms, and there you have it. I'm here in camp with him, and, you know, we cooking up some night for July 28th.
Oh, well, you mentioned about staying on task or something during the fights earlier for the earlier question. Maybe you didn't see it in person that night, but if you had a chance to watch the fight afterwards, or maybe something that Adrian shared with you, but did you see some of the exchanges in the middle of that fight between Cunningham and Adrian in between rounds that is something that you think could be beneficial in the effort that you might and the focus that you might need to maintain July 28th?
Of course, you know, that's a reason that I made this move to come down here to be in Coach Cunningham's program, you know, is to stay focused. You know, like I said, being back at home, I had a lot of distractions. My mind was everywhere, and I couldn't focus just on boxing. So whenever I was in the ring, you know, I was never sticking to a game plan, you know. So making that move with Coach Cunningham, he made me focus on on our game plan, and nothing but our game plan, and that's all I've been focused on is boxing, period. You know, being away from home and all the distractions, all I can think about is boxing.
Thank you. And one quick question for Coach Cunningham. Just want to congratulate you on kind of what you've been able on, not kind of, but what you've been able to do with the return of Devin Alexander to the ring, you know, and sticking beside him through his recovery and whatnot. Hello?
Hear you, Coach Kevin. Hello?
Is that Coach Kevin saying hello?
Yeah, that's me. Now I can hear you now.
Oh, okay. I was saying that I wanted to congratulate you as part of the, you know, the driving force behind Devin Alexander and him having a resurgence in the game, you know, and you guys sticking together through his challenges outside of the ring. But I just wondered, in addition to that, what has the influx of these world-class guys coming down to Florida to work with you, what has that meant to you professionally?
Well, you know, I appreciate the fact that a lot of these guys appreciate me really giving them 110%. They make the decision to come to my camp. So, you know, we kind of reciprocate the appreciation with each other, and it's all work and no play down here, and it's just a tremendous situation for these guys, and anytime you come and put the work in, you come like Robert, for instance, his camp will be 10 weeks when it's over, and he left no stone unturned. He sacrificed everything. He did everything that was asked of him, and he's a talented guy. He's naturally talented, and then he's got that height, that reach advantage, and he has a tremendous game plan. He's been a pleasure to work with, and with all that being said, I can't just not have a successful night on July 28th.
Okay, and thank you, and good luck on setting the stage at Staples Center for the arrival of Ohio's LeBron James. Thank you.
That was the last question for this group.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I want to thank Robert and Kevin, the team Easter, to be on the call and make themselves available. I know we are in the final days of training, and I know you're going to be traveling out here soon to Los Angeles. Looking forward to see you all and welcoming you here at the Staples Center for this big unification bout. So good luck, and I'll see you guys next week.
Thank you, Mr. Rich. See you next week.
Thank you. So, do we have Team Garcia on the call?
They are available.
Okay,
hello.
Great. So let's move right along. It's a pleasure for me to introduce to you Team Garcia now. We have pound-for-pound trainer Robert Garcia on the line, and we have the #1 pound-for-pound fighter Mikey Garcia on the line. Both will be available to answer questions. Mikey is an athlete who keeps challenging himself to fight the best. He seeks out the most challenging and biggest challenges, and in this fight here, I mean biggest as well, literally. With Robert Easter, Mikey will face a fighter who possesses skills and power and is obviously naturally gifted with his height and reach advantage. But Mikey is a 4-division world champion. He's moving up and down these weight classes as if they don't exist, always finding a way to solve the most difficult and most challenging puzzles. In fact, he's only the 3rd fighter in modern history to be a champion, a world champion at 126, 130, 135, and 140 pounds. and I have that sneaky feeling that he's not done yet. He's a man who is driven to make history. This is Mikey's first unification bout. It's Mikey's first fight in Los Angeles for, I believe, 9 years, and he knows where he is going to perform on Saturday night is a building which is reserved for the biggest stars in sports and in music, and that's the Staples Center. I know that Mikey will be ready for this challenge, for any challenge. It's a pleasure now for me to introduce to you the undefeated superstar, the undefeated world champion, and the undefeated pound-for-pound #1 fighter in the world, Miguel Angel, Mikey Garcia. Mikey?
Hi, Richard. Thank you. I'm here, ready.
Great. You want to make some comments about the camp? How has it been? How you feel? Excited? And then after that, we're going to be opening up to the media that they can ask you and your brother any questions they have.
Sure. Well, camp is dialing down now, but camp went very well. We had a 9-week camp and great sparring, great number of rounds. I'm excited for the fight. I'm very happy that we happened to land a title unification match. It's another, big fight for me in my career, and that we can land it here in LA. It's even more wonderful. I get to experience this fight with my local supporters, and so I couldn't ask for anything else. I think everything is going very well, and I'm just very happy to be where I'm at.
Excellent. Thank you, Mikey. We're going to open it up to the media now. You guys can ask questions of Mikey or of his brother trainer, Robert Garcia.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to ask a question, please press *1 on your telephone keypad. Again, if you have any questions, please press *1 on your telephone keypad. I'm waiting for callers to join the queue at this present time. Our first question comes from Robert Morales from Los Angeles Daily News. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Hey, Mikey, how are you, brother?
Hey, Robert. Thank you. I'm good.
Hey, Mikey, just real quick. I mean, from what you've seen of Robert Easter, what does he bring to the table? What are you going to have to be most watchful for?
Well, I've seen him on several occasions, and he's a fighter. He's had some tough fights, and I think he's had those tough fights because he allows it to get tough for himself. Because he's a fighter, he likes to fight, he likes to exchange punches, and gives up the height and reach advantage at times. But, he's always in the fight, he's always punching, he's dangerous, he has power. I think he might want to make adjustments and actually use his height and reach early on. So that's something I have to be aware of. I have to be prepared, and that's what we did in the gym. We worked on a lot of things to overcome those height and reach advantages, but I'll make those adjustments. I have experience fighting, a lot of different opponents, different styles, different heights. I actually got to be prepared to do whatever it takes to win Saturday night, the 28th.
Thank you. Hey, Richard, are you there?
I'm here. How are you, Robert?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
Good, good.
Hey, Richard, just real quick, how are the ticket sales going for this event?
Tickets are going excellent. Actually, some of the price categories were sold out, and we're having a meeting this afternoon with the Staples people to see if we can open up some more. So I do anticipate a very big crowd, fantastic crowd, and you know the fight fans are here in LA. They love a great fight. They love a big fight, and they're going to show up. And with Mikey Garcia, I think they have somebody, and they know they have somebody, a local guy, who they can cheer on and who they can support. With Mikey Garcia, they have a pound-for-pound #1 fighter in the world, and he's coming from right here, from Los Angeles. So fans will show up.
Excellent. All right, thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Our next question is going to come from Ryan Guido from Punter Boxing. Please go ahead.
Hey, Mikey, how are you doing today?
Hello, I'm good, thank you.
I just want to ask real quick. It's your first fight back at 135 for the last couple of fights. How's your body reacting to it? You feeling comfortable again back at the weight?
Yes, I'm comfortable. We had like I said, a long camp with 9 weeks, and the right eating, the right diet, allows me to be able to fluctuate in weight and come back down to 135. I feel strong. I feel fast. I feel very healthy.
That's all I had to ask today. Thank you.
Our next question is going to come from Jeremy Rodriguez from Fansided.com. Please go ahead.
Hi, Mikey. You fought at lightweight and super lightweight. Which division do you feel more comfortable in, or does it matter to you at this point?
Well, I feel comfortable in both divisions. I feel fast and strong in either division, but I do feel that I'm at a disadvantage when I'm fighting at super lightweight at 140 pounds. These guys are naturally bigger and carry more weight, but I feel the same as far as my abilities go. And that's why I'm able to fight in both divisions, because I still feel fast and strong in either one. Fighting at lightweight, I think it's more of a even, category, weight class. We're gonna be weighing about the same amount on fight night, and even though my opponent this time around is a lot taller and has longer reach, but we weigh the same, and I don't feel that that's gonna be any factor, when it comes to fight night. But I feel comfortable, really. I honestly do feel comfortable in both divisions.
Looking at Robert's length and his reach, Javier Fortuna found a lot of interesting ways to get inside of him. I'm wondering, did you study that fight, and did you pick anything up that Javier Fortuna did that you could capitalize on?
Well, I seen the fight, and believe it or not, Javier Fortuna has a weird, awkward style that makes anybody have problems. He'll give problems to anybody, no matter height or reach. Javier Fortuna is tricky, experienced, former champion. And like I said, Robert Easter sometimes gives up those height and reach advantages on his own because he's a fighter, because he likes to fight and exchange punches and looks for a knockout. And that's part of the reason why Fortuna had some success in the fight and made it a difficult fight. But overall, I still felt that Robert won and did enough to win that fight.
Thanks, Mikey. I appreciate it, and good luck.
Thank you.
Our next question is going to come from Carlos Toro from Fightful. Please go ahead.
Mikey, thanks so much for taking time to talk to us. At the start of the conference call, they were mentioning about how this was your first fight in Los Angeles in 7 years. And given the stakes of this fight, does the fact that you're fighting in Los Angeles make the fight even more special than your previous one?
Well, it's a big fight for me. It's a title unification. I'll be unifying titles in lightweight, so that's a big, accomplishment, big fight for me. And, it does make it more special because it's here in LA, in Southern California, my home. I get a chance to give my local fans and the people who support me, an opportunity to see me live, for the first time in 7 years. I've been fighting in Texas and New York and, out of other states. So it's very special for me to be here. I know I have a lot of family, a lot of support, a lot of fans out here and friends who sometimes can't make the trips out. And this time they're definitely going to be here. So that makes it a little more special.
I know there's been some chatter about you potentially moving up in weight again or looking at other big fights. Does it become tough at times to not look ahead of your current fight, or do you guys not pay mind to that kind of talk and chatter?
Well, I will discuss anything, any options available, any name that's being mentioned. I have no problem. It doesn't distract me from my opponent in front of me. Robert Easter is a tough champion, undefeated champion who I got to take very serious, and I do, and that's why we did a 9-week training camp and got the great sparring, got the right training, the right diet, everything. But speaking about other opponents, other fighters in the future or in the possible future doesn't affect me at all. I'm willing to speak and discuss anything with anybody that interests me for me and my career.
One last question to Richard Schaefer, if he's still around.
I'm here.
I know you said earlier that ticket sales have been going well and that you're expecting a big crowd. The Staples Center, just wanted to see, last time the Staples Center had a boxing card there were I believe around 12,500 people at that fight. Are you expecting an attendance number around that ballpark, higher, lower?
No, I expect an attendance number around that ballpark, maybe even more. When I started working with Mikey, one of our goals was to really start making the Staples Center at least once a year the home for Mikey Garcia. Before that fight we did with Morris in Santa Cruz, it has been quite a while before Staples Center had a fight card, but to be able to make Staples Center your home was one of the goals. And Mikey's a very ambitious guy, and he set many other goals, which I'm sure at due course he will discuss with you guys. But to fight in Staples Center is a big thing, and Mike is the right guy, and he will be the king of LA and the king of boxing and the pound for pound king and all of those things which go for it. You watch and see.
Thanks, Mikey, and thanks, Richard. Best of luck on July 28th.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next question is going to come from Luis Cortez from UCN Live. Please go ahead.
All right. How you doing, Mikey?
I'm good. Thank you, Luis.
Good. You've pretty much answered all the questions I had lined up for you, but basically with the current climate at lightweight and the other champion who recently won his title, you've been pretty much the king of the lightweight and super lightweight division now for longer than that other titleist has. But again, without looking ahead, because I know you have the business at hand next week, but how much does this mean to you, again, with this being your first fight in LA, to really make a statement against another world champion, unifying the belts, really to make your statement that you are indeed not only the king of the lightweight division, but also pound for pound ahead of that other titleist name?
Well, I always have believed I'm the best, and that's why I'm taking on these fights to prove to everybody that there's no one else better than me, there's no one else equal to me. And These kinds of fights are the ones that excite me the most. Title unification match, moving up in weight to challenge for another title. Those are fights that excite me and will cement my name. And I don't care what other people are doing in their career. I'm handling my career.
Right. Very cool. All right. Thanks so much. And Team Pizarro says hello from Philadelphia. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Okay, our next question is going to come from Erica Montoya from Millennial Dario. Please go ahead.
Hola, muy buenas tardes a todos. Mikey, Robert, un gusto hablar con ustedes. Mikey, quisiera que me contaras un poco acerca de la importancia de pelear ante un peleador invicto. Tú has ya dado cuenta de 4 peleadores que tienen 0 en su récord. Vas por el 5º.
Mira, pues como te he dicho, yo les he dicho siempre, quiero peleas grandes, peleas importantes, peleas que me motiven, que me emocionen, y quiero pelear con campeones que se merezca el público, peleas así valiosas. Yo pudiera estar peleando con peleadores de los mejores 10 y defender mi título, pero si no han sido campeones o no son invictos, no me motiva, no me excita. Y un peleador como Robert Easter está invicto y campeón mundial. Son las peleas que más me atraen, más me motivan. Y son las que van a dejar mi nombre grabado, estampado para años en la historia del boxeo. Y no pienso cambiar ese plan. Por eso es que estamos enfrentándolo a él. Así como derroté a Dejan Zlatikanen, a Sergey Lepenet, ahora voy por Robert Easter. Los 3 han sido invictos, sido campeones mundiales y sigo con esos planes. Es muy importante para mí dejar ese nombre en la historia del boxeo.
Muchas gracias, Mikey.
And could you translate that, please, in English?
Well, question was, how important is it to fight an undefeated fighter like Easter? And my response is that, I'm looking for the best fight, the most attractive fight, most important fights for me in my career. And I want fights just like this, undefeated champions. I'm fighting champion after champion. Those are the fights that will excite me the most and motivate me the most. I could easily be defending my title against top contenders in the top 10, but if they haven't been champions or their record's not perfect, it doesn't really excite me. It doesn't motivate me. But that's why I'm facing guys like Dejan Zlatikanen, Sergey Lipinets, undefeated champions, Robert Easter, undefeated champion. These are fights that really motivate me and excite me because in the end, I want to leave my name cemented in the history books of boxing.
Thank you. Again, ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to ask a question, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad. Okay, our next question is going to come from David Avila from SweetScience.com. Please go ahead.
Hey, Mikey, how you doing today?
Hi, David. I'm good. Thank you.
I saw that you were at the ESPYs yesterday. When you were there, it's across the street from the Staples Center. Did you have any thoughts about your fight when you were leaving and taking a look at the Staples Center? Did you think about your fight, or did you tell people anything about it?
Well, I was just excited to be there, and I'm looking forward to next week when I come back and fight in front of all my local fans. You know, it's exciting to be there at the red carpet, meeting all these athletes, and you know, just being around that atmosphere is great at the ESPYs. But you know, my task next week is most important, and that's what I'm looking forward to.
When you were a fighter, when you were an amateur boxer, and you were fighting in the Golden Gloves, like right there in the Lincoln Park, did you ever have dreams of fighting at the Staples Center?
Well, I remember going to the Staples to watch some of the fights there, and it's always just nice to be in that arena. And I've seen some of the fights there, and you know, I also would obviously, you know, have the dream to one day, you know, be there. I remember going to some concerts there, and you know, I'd seen Jay-Z there and fill up the arena, and I'm like, wow, you know, one day I'm gonna be here and I'm gonna be fighting here. And now I get to do that and experience this next week. So I'm very excited for it.
Was this one of your goals, to be fighting at the Staples Center?
Well, it's been a goal ever since I started, you know, fighting title fights. We were never allowed and never had the opportunity to fight at Staples for my fans. You know, it's what I wanted to do, and now I get to do it. So that's what's making this that much more special.
Okay, Mikey. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, David.
Our last question is going to come from Keith Eidig from theboxingscene.com. Please go ahead.
Yes, my question is for Robert. Robert, I was just wondering, do you think that Mikey's gotten the credit for what he's done, or, you know, the impressive things that he's done in terms of taking challenges in different divisions and becoming one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world? Do you think he's gotten the proper recognition for that so far?
I think so. As of now, I think he does. You know, people really know the talent, the skills that he has, and you know, maybe not as much as others, but he does get a lot of credit for what he's accomplished.
Robert, what is your opinion of how big of a challenge this is, you know, literally, because he's so much taller than Mikey? What do you think of the challenge that Easter presents for Mikey next week?
Look, Easter is a typical fighter. You know, we don't expect an easy fight because he does have 5-inch height advantage and 8-inch reach advantage. So that's a big difference. So I'm sure he's training and getting ready to use that in his advantage. We're doing the opposite. We're training to beat him to that, and it's just gonna make a great fight. You know, the fans are gonna enjoy a great fight. The boxing world watching on Showtime are gonna enjoy a hell of a fight.
Robert, you know how difficult it is sometimes when you take on a new fighter and they get together with a trainer, how difficult it can be in their first fight together to accomplish all the things that they want to in terms of changing their style and that kind of thing. How do you look at him having Kevin Cunningham as his new trainer for this fight?
Look, Kevin is a great trainer. He's one of the best in the business right now, and I'm sure he's doing a great job in training camp. And I can't wait to see what kind of game plan they can move with, because I know he's really good at that, and he always brings the best out of their fighters. So I am excited to be part of it, and I'm excited for the challenge.
How has it been for you, Robert? Because you've taken on obviously new clients over the years, and you go into your first fight with them. How has it been for you working with a guy in your first fight with him?
Well, look, sometimes it depends on who the fighter is. You know, a lot of times I don't know if that's the case with Cunningham and Robert, but you know, some fighters sometimes they just need a new voice. They just need somebody to call the shots, the way like we say, to somebody so the fighter knows that they have a boss in front of them. They get too comfortable with their trainers. They start calling the shots. They start saying when they want to train, who they want to train with, and where they want to train. And with the new boys, they do whatever the coach tells them. So I think it's definitely going to benefit Robert Easter if that's the case with them. I know Cunningham is very strict with his work and does a great job.
Mikey, how much of a difference do you expect to see in Easter now that he's working with Kevin Cunningham in this fight?
Well, like my brother said, sometimes it just takes another person, another voice to, get the fighter to use what he needs to do. I think he's going to try to use the reach and height advantage. I think he's going to try to use that most of the night, but, that's part of the fight. That's part of the game, and I have to make those adjustments to overcome that and find other ways to get to him. I think he's going to be very motivated and probably in the best shape ever. He knows what's at stake. He knows it's a huge fight, biggest fight of his career as well. So I'm expecting the best Robert Easter ever.
Mikey, how much do you expect him to be able to resist what you mentioned earlier, that he gives away his height and his reach because he's so willing to get in there and fight? Do you expect him to revert back to that, or do you expect him to be able to use his height and reach a little bit better in this fight?
I think he's going to use this height and reach a little bit more. I think that somewhere down in the middle of the fight, maybe, midway in the fight, if things start getting heated, he might start to exchange with me on occasions, but I think that's where the trainer will come in. Cunningham will come in and then remind him to stay away and use the reach and height again. And, it's just part of being a good trainer, a good coach, and reminding your fighter to stay, to your game plan. But I think there's going to be moments where we are going to get in exchanges because that's just, who he is as a fighter.
Thank you for your time, guys.
That was the last question for today.
Excellent. Thank you. Well, we heard from Robert Easter. We heard from Mikey Garcia. I think what's very clear, even more so today after this call, that both are ready, both are motivated, and both want that other belt. On Saturday, July 28th, right here at the Staples Center, we will see the biggest fight of the summer, one of the biggest fight of the year, the unification between Mikey Garcia versus Robert Easter. So hope to see you all there. We're going to have some exciting things planned for next week as well. On Wednesday, we're going to have some media workouts here in Los Angeles. On Thursday, it's going to be the final press conference at the Conga Room in LA Live. And then on Friday, of course, the weigh-in in front of Staples Center, open to the public. And then on Saturday at 3 o'clock, the Staples Center doors will open for this fantastic 15-card fight night in Los Angeles. So make sure you tell all your riders this is truly the biggest card I can remember Los Angeles has ever seen, with 15 fights. And so excited, can't wait, and see you all. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining. You may disconnect and have a great day.
Bye, Mikey.